If you look at the cloth up close, it's very faint. It's very faint. In fact, if you stand right next to it, you will miss it. You have to stand back in order to see the details on this cloth. Now, if you look at the high-resolution black and white photos, you're going to see a much better picture. Here you see the contrast much better, and it really stands out. But that's not something that you're going to... If you go on tour, if you want to go to Turin in 2010 and take a look at it, you're not going to see something this clear. I mean, on the wall, there will probably be photographs, but the cloth itself does not show up that clearly. This is a black and white photograph where you have very, very good contrast. But again, the image that you're looking at is the product of aged linen, the aged linen in the shape of a body. And here you see the negative of that image. Now, this is what first sparked the scientific controversy surrounding the Shroud of Turin. Okay? In 1898, a guy by the name of Secondo Pia took the first photographs of the shroud. Up to that point, it had never been photographed. Now, the Catholic Church had accepted that this was, this is the burial cloth of Jesus, voila. But they had a lot of relics, and their reputation wasn't very good. Okay, they did not have a great deal of credibility among non-Catholics, and so nobody else really took them very seriously. And then, when Pia took those photographs, as he was developing this film and the negatives started to appear under his chemicals, he about fell down when he said, "Whoa, look at this. Man, usually when you take a photograph, the negative looks all weird. Blacks turn to white, whites turn to black, grays get all weird, and you look at a picture of somebody you know and you don't recognize them. Not in the negative." But that's not what happened with the Shroud image. Instead of being a fuzzy, worse picture, it looks like the real thing. It looks really good. It's like a ghost. Woo, it's kind of spooky. And it actually kind of freaked him out when he saw it. And when this became public news, that the negative has positive characteristics, that's what got scientists interested. They're thinking, look, this Shroud image has it's a perfect negative. How is it that a forger, assuming this is a forgery, because everybody pretty much did except for the Catholic Church. Everyone else presumed it was another forgery. And so how is it that if this is a forgery, how is it that it has negative characteristics? How do you do that? Hundreds of years before the invention of photography. How do you do that? That's what originally made this artifact stand out. Now here, what we see is the positive. This is the picture of the shroud itself. This is the image that's on the cloth. Notice how faint it is once again. And here we see a negative of the image. Now, do you see why Pia was so shocked? Do you understand? This is what he took a picture of, and this was the negative. Do you see how that would scare you if you didn't know what to expect? Wouldn't that scare you when you know how normal? Saying, whoa, how you've never seen that ever, where you took a picture of something and the negative turns out to be a positive. That was just freaky. And that was pretty much the response of the whole world at the time. What is this? How did this happen? Now, here what we see is a negative of the Garlischelli's image versus the shroud. And again, you can look at the amount of information. Do you see the informational differences between these two? Now, today the shroud is kept in St. John's Cathedral in Turin, Italy. It's kept inside of a silver casket, and it's in a nitrogen vault. Why a nitrogen vault? Because oxygen causes linen to break down. It causes things to when things oxidize, they break down and go bye-bye. And so by putting it in a nitrogen vault that doesn't have oxygen, we preserve it that way. Okay, so that's where it's at now. Now, what I'll be covering, first of all, is the anatomic and pathological detail concerning the shroud man's body, and that'll be one presentation. And then we'll take a look at evidence of the authenticity of the shroud as a first-century Israeli burial cloth, and then look at the image formation mechanism. How did the image get on the cloth?
Were there scientists speaking out against him? Did any of the articles go to anybody else, or just because he said it?
Oh, there's lots of rebuttal. In terms of, the responsible rebuttals, there are a lot of them now. Yeah. The thing is about this is it's pretty technical, and what I want to do is present something that's I want to present it in a language that most people can understand, because where the other side is doing their damage is that they come up with these headlines, and that's all people are reading. Because it is technical. This requires thinking, and that's the dangerous thing. It's not a soundbite. If you understand all the evidence, then you see how strong the evidence is. But you gotta look at the bigger picture, and that's why I want to take the time to present the bigger picture. So you get a full, it's in your face. This is how strong the evidence is. And then when you know that, when you hear stories like this, oh, it's a forgery, we can easily reproduce that, you realize that's nonsense. Now, one thing I'm going to say right here, too, before you go, though, is probably the hallmark evidence, and I'll stop with this, is, what's his name? In the book Report on the Shroud of Turin by John Heller, he was one of the chief biochemists in this. He did a lot of the blood work in analyzing the shroud. He did an experiment which, hands down, destroys these forgery guys. Hands down. It's a very simple experiment. Okay, if the shroud is the burial cloth of Jesus, what was on the cloth first? The blood or the image?
The blood.
The blood, obviously. The blood. Okay. Now, if it's a forgery, what's going to be on the cloth first? The blood or the image?
The image.
The image, because you need to know where to put the blood, right? Okay. So what he did was a very simple experiment. He used an enzymatic solution. He digested away the blood. He took a fiber out with blood on it, because the image, he digested it away. He just put it on there, and it's specific. So it didn't harm the fibers at all. It didn't harm the linen at all. But it chewed away all the blood. And then you look for oxidation, because the image itself is the product of oxidation. Guess what? Nothing. It's virgin linen underneath the blood. In other words, when the body said poof, the blood stopped the image from affecting the cloth. So that proves that the blood was there first. So if this is a forgery, and Garlischelli goes, oh, I just created the image, then you put some blood on it, and look down, and I say, hey, dude, no. If you want to reproduce the shroud, put the blood on first, and then poof your image and see if it's in the right place. Do you know how long that would take in real life? Now, you know how many blood stains are on this cloth? There are innumerable blood stains, and they're all in the right place. Okay? So, that's a big thing to know. It's a very important thing to know. The blood was there first. The blood was there definitively. The blood was there first. So, Garlischelli, that means, oh, look what I did. Nice picture for the news, and it convinced over half